Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Rachna Khanna Singh and I'm here today on World Health Day to help all of you talk about wellness. So when we talk about wellness today, it's a completely 360-degree approach. We're not talking about just physical wellness. Even the WHO statement states that when you're well, it's not that you're just free from disease. You have to be well in body and in mind. So when we talk about complete wellness, it's a completely holistic 360-degree approach that we are applying now, and I don't think there's a dispute on that anymore. So a person who's well in body and not well in mind will not be in a complete wellness space altogether, and vice versa. So even if we see somebody who is a very fit human being but not fit in mind, we don't consider that being in complete wellness. So today mental health has become a very, very big challenge for most of us with the kind of lifestyles that we people are leading. There is a rat race, everybody's running behind stuff, there is no time. When we talk to people, they say that they have no time for anybody, they don't have time for themselves. So there's a lot of pressure and a lot of stress in the environment. And when we say that there is a lot of stress in the environment, somehow what we understand is that that needs to be tackled in a very, very completely conditional way, not only with medication. So I think the most important thing today is to realize that what is happening in the environment. So gone are the times when we are now being in denial. So we don't need to be in denial if we have a mental health issue. Statistics are clearly showing that 1 out of 4 people have either depression or anxiety issues. So that's very high. That means people walking on the street, every third or fourth person is suffering from probably a psychological or a behavioral concern. We see these concerns happening from anywhere from youngsters till old people till geriatric people. So probably the youngest person who's a patient with us nowadays is almost a 4 or a 5-year-old person, So it's sad to see that how the environment is becoming so pressurized, and whilst the pressure is there, it's becoming a society pressure. Unfortunately, the new generation which is coming up is a very, very conflicted and a very confused generation, because they do carry the value system which we very proudly call ourselves as the Indian value system, which is a fabulously grounded value system, where we are somewhere in a zone where we do pray, we do have some religious activities, we have so many ways where we can ground ourselves. We have a family system. On the other hand, we have this new generation being succumbed to a whole load of exposure, whether it's media exposure, whether it's exposure to, now there is no shortage of any global exposure. Now the globe has just become one completely. So I don't see it, the teenagers today, I don't see them being any different in world of being, whether they're sitting here or they're sitting in the US, because today they're completely connected on social network, and they're completely connected as a one unit. So in one way that's fabulous that there is one unit on one side, but on the other side, like I said, there's a huge dichotomy, because they are dealing with things like pub culture, they're dealing with a lot of addictions, alcohol, smoking, a lot of behavioral issues. And that is what is causing a lot of concern for a lot of us, because that is the new generation which is coming up. And this new generation which is coming up, since it's a highly confused generation, so obviously the concerns are a lot more also on the generation. So that is one of the reasons why we are very worried about this. So somebody's just posed a question to me right now, which talks about that, that what are some of the easiest way to battle depression for a teenager. So when we're talking about when you're talking about teenagers, we're talking about not only behavioral concerns, we're also talking about a lot of emotional concerns and a lot of psychological concerns on the teenager also. So there are a huge amount of issues where there is, today there is no stability in the environment. So let me tell you one thing, parenting is something which is very, very important. So what you are as a family, that is what your child or your teenager is going to absorb from you. So If you are in a family environment where you are constantly, there is a lot of bickering, or there is a lot of uncordial behavior, or there is discord in the family, that could be amongst any family members, do be very clear that that is going to come down to your child, because the child absorbs the environment like a sponge. So that is why today the rates of teenage suicide, teenage depression, teenage anxiety is very, very high versus what used to be about 5 to 10 years ago. How is it that we combat with it? So firstly, would like to share with you that please make sure that you have a family environment where you are keeping your children in a platform which is a close-knit platform, which is a particular platform where, you know, we have people coming to us saying that, you know, how can I befriend my teenager? So please understand, if you've not befriended your child at 3 or 4 years of age, you won't be able to befriend your suddenly grown teenager out of the blue also. So have an environment which is a stable environment for the child. So encourage things like eating meals together on a table. Encourage things where people are going to be sitting together, sharing. I know it is very difficult to share teenage problems. They will not come out and open up with the parents easily. But what can be done is you could, you know, talk about what is happening in the news today. So we read about everything from molestations happening to difficult situations happening. So once to politics, so once you talk about cheating, lying, all these things as an example to your child, as an example to your teenager, they get grasped much, much better. So it could be a general discussion. Make sure that you spend at least half an hour to 1 hour every day of family time. If your child sees that, he will automatically end up being quite well grounded. Even then, if you do have this kind of an environment and your child does suffer from some sort of an anxiety syndrome or a depression syndrome, please make sure that you know his support structure, his or her support structure very well. Knowing his or her friends, making sure that he or she at school is well stable, there is no bullying happening, there is no mocking happening, because teenagers at this stage get very, very worried about their self-image, because suddenly they're growing up into this adults and there's a hormone rush. And like I said, there is unfortunately a circumstantial rush, which is a society exposure, where there is a sudden exposure to a lot of Western culture, Western movies, Western habits. So a lot of these are exposed to, whether it's relationships, fleeting relationships, sexual relationships, it could be alcohol, drugs, anything. So what you need to do is, one, stay in conversation with your child always. Stay in communication. That is something which is going to bridge all of you together. Secondly, another very important thing is to also sit your child down and communicate in case you feel that there are some signs of depression. Now, depression, what are the signs of depression? So actually that is my next question, when somebody's asked that what are the signs and symptoms of depression. So depression necessarily does not mean that you are going to be crying or weeping all day long. Depression could also have signs and symptoms of aggression and irritability. So if you're finding a huge behavior change in a person next to you, a teenager next to you, especially a person whose child started getting very aggressive or irritable, or there is a lot of stress on the child, please see those signs and symptoms and watch out for them. And like I said, keep open communication, encourage some healthy habits like eating good food, eating at correct times. Those things also help a lot. Making sure that there is enough sleep being given to your child. Sometimes it just could be simple sleep deprivation. Making sure that he or she has a healthy schedule with respect to some sport activity. So always encourage some amount of physical activity. Some physical activity will help you and will help the child also. With physical activity, we end up having a lot of release of positive hormones. So that becomes very, very important. Once we have these positive hormones coming in, then those can be easily combated, because we don't need medication if the positive hormones are there. But if still the child is not getting sorted, you need to make sure you take the child to a mental health professional, a psychologist, where a person can get help. Okay, so have somebody who has asked me a question saying that How does one know that it's time to get professional help when somebody feels low? Okay, I think that's a very, very pertinent question because a lot of that we have ups and downs in life. Everybody's got ups and downs in life. There is nobody's life which is a straight line. If it was a straight line, even the ECG's got an up and down. So first, learn to understand that all of us have ups and all of us have downs. So in those ups and downs, sometimes in the down, we may start feeling fairly low. Now, you need to understand that that does not mean you are in clinical depression. So nowadays, we have a lot of people coming in the OPD or approaching us for help where they actually start stating that, you know, I am depressed. I am very, very stressed. So it's being used as a colloquial term now to say that, you know, I am depressed. So actually, feeling depressed is just a low feeling, and clinical depression is something completely different. So coming back to the question saying that, how do I know I need to go to a professional? So if you have consistently low mood swings which you're not able to handle, or there are concerns which you're not able to handle, it's not necessary that you need to have low mood swings. A lot of people come for professional help even if they are just simply feeling stressed. If there are people who are feeling pressurized, even professionals who are coming to us, they're doctors, lawyers, corporate people from the corporate zone coming to us for help just to get some guidance. So going to a professional mental health specialist does not mean that you are mentally ill. So that taboo has already gone away and it's vanishing away. So people have their own therapists where they go and discuss and they will guide them what to do. But if you have a consistently low mood and a lot of weeping or a lot of behavioral change, you certainly need to go to a professional. Okay, so I have another question which has come in, which says that our mental health issues, and specifically somebody has asked that if depression is completely curable and treatable. So I would like to share that depression is completely curable and treatable. Firstly, you need to go to a good mental health professional to ensure that are you actually suffering from depression or anxiety or any mental health illness. So a lot of people, like I said, they just have a taboo and they feel that, you know, oh my God, I'm under depression. So being under stress is very different from being under depression. Yet you can go to a professional, mental health professional or a psychologist, a counselor, get some help, try to understand what your problem is and what your condition is. And then the treatment is not that difficult at all. So there is help with the help of counseling. Counseling could be done in various different formats. They could be, simply what people understand, talk therapy or cognitive. There is also cognitive behavior therapy available. Lots of different kinds of therapies are available. If you're having a discord with somebody, it could be a sibling discord, it could be a marital discord. Nowadays we are flooded in with a lot of discord with marriages or relationships, you know. Because people are finding the tolerance levels are going down, people are finding it very difficult to adjust with each other. That's why in the last 5 to 7 years, sadly, even in India, the rate of divorce and separation has gone up many fold. It's actually tripled up. That's the rate at which the separations are happening. So there could be various reasons why you would be feeling low. If there's a fallout in a relationship, there could be it could be a family concern. So you could get various kinds of therapy available from your mental health professional. It could be family therapy, it could be marital counseling, it could be single counseling. So counseling is one very great aspect, and if your counselor identifies that you actually have a clinical problem, a clinical depression, or any other mental health concern, you could also go to a psychiatrist. He or she will refer you to a psychiatrist for some medication as well. And sometimes it is good to take medication if you need. It's like saying if you have fever, you need to take a paracetamol. So simply like that, if you have a particular hormone which is not there, or not being there sufficiently, because we have some positive hormones in our body. So you would be able to, psychiatrists would be able to help medicate you and replenish those back, because sometimes we have some amount of chemical reactions in our brain also. So those get helped with medication. So there's no harm in seeking help. And I think now it's very easy to seek help. It's a phone call away. One shouldn't be worried about it. There is no taboo to seeking professional help for any kind of mental concern or mental illness, or even simply a high stress which you're unable to deal with. So like I said, it's a phone call away. Counseling, in fact we've introduced e-counseling, which is totally available on Skype, on WhatsApp, on email, so which just makes it a lot easier for you to get help and get easily approached from the premises of your own home also. I'm just going to have a look at the next question, which has just been shot to me. Okay, so someone has asked a very pertinent question, saying that I get angry very often, and how do I deal with my anger? So this has become anger, aggression, road rage. This is become very, very common today. So today is a very volatile environment where we feel the stress levels are very high because of the kind of lifestyle we people are leading. It's like I said earlier also, it's a rat race. We're running to gain something which we don't even know what we're running to gain. But people find that there is no time for themselves. And what happens is, when the stress levels become very high, somewhere we start experiencing negative emotions. Now those negative emotions could be, for example, anger, irritability, guilt, repentance, constantly feeling sad. So all these emotions are there, which you could face any one of these emotions. So always remember one thing, that all of us have negative and positive emotions. There is nobody who's got only a very positive person or very negative person. The trick is to convert the negative emotions into positive. And how do you do that? First is stop being in denial. So we always go through an ABC strategy. A comes for awareness. Be aware of your own condition. Be aware of what is causing that anger. Are you actually an angry person? So a lot of times you will have people around you say that to you, your spouse, your parent, your child. And if you are exhibiting those signs, it's a great idea to actually listen to the person around you, give them a fair hearing to understand that yes, you might be having an anger issue. So if you do have an anger issue, what do you do about it? So like I said, A is awareness. Be aware of what you're going through. So it could be an anger issue, it could be an irritability issue, it could be an issue where you're constantly feeling low. So once you're aware of the condition, B becomes a balance. How am I going to balance this out? How am I going to balance the negative and the positive emotions out? C becomes a control, that I am going to take some measures, I am going to take some steps to control this. So some of the steps we can take to control anger, if you have identified that you have an anger issue. So one great thing is to write an anger diary, in which you could identify what are the things which cause anger to you. So every day at the end of the day, note down a few things that, what is it that is causing anger. So it could be something as simple as, the day didn't go right, or your boss screamed at you, or you have a nagging spouse, or you have a bad relationship with somebody, or you have somebody who's chronically ill at home you're taking care of. So there could be many triggers, there could be many stressors, as we call it. So make sure that you have this particular identification, that what are the triggers, how will we know the triggers? Start noting them down. Start noting down the number of times you get angry every day. That will help you. Start noting down the duration. So after about a week or 2 weeks, when you've logged this out, how will you log it? So make sure every day, before the end of the day, spend about 10 minutes with yourself, where you could note down in a diary or on your phone or any place which is private to you, what is it that you've gone through, what is it that has made you angry. A, that's the trigger. B, what is the duration of this anger? Do I just get angry for 5 minutes? I blow up and then I cool down, or does my anger persist and I hold on to it for maybe hours? Third thing would be what, like I said, is the frequency. How often am I getting angry? Am I getting very angry twice or thrice a week, or am I getting very angry every day? So that needs to be also figured out. So once you have this in place, it would be a good idea to adopt some techniques to bring down your anger. So some of the good techniques are to go through some relaxation exercises. Of course, visit a mental health professional if you feel it's out of bounds, but if you want to try some simple relaxation exercises, that could become a part of your regime. So that starts controlling your nervous system. It could be you could also figure out some simple pranayam. That is also very helpful because that helps the nervous system and it tones it down. So once it's working on the sympathetic nervous system, so your mind and body get in sync with the help of the breath. So that is something which you could do. Third is, if you are actually angry with somebody, you are actually, let's say you've had a very bad relationship or very upset with a particular person, and you've identified that this is what has caused so much anger for you, then in that case we have something called, you could write out a letter to that person. You don't need to mail out the letter. You could write out whatever your grievances with the person are, put them down on paper, and then later on, once you've put them down together, just burn them out. So you feel that everything, whatever you've put across, has evaporated finally. Okay, let me look at the next question. So my next question is that so if somebody has sent me a question, which is a very beautiful question, that it's a geriatric person who's asking, saying that an elderly person who's asking, saying that I have lost my spouse and how do I deal with it? Firstly, I would like to share that losing a companion or a spouse can be very, very difficult. So it's not just about, today we are not finding it's not just about losing a spouse for an elderly person, but it's also if there is a loss of a spouse or a companion in a relationship, that could, what I'm saying would hold good for even people who've, let's say, had a long-term relationship and they have had a fallout in the relationship. There's been a separation, there's been a break. So it becomes very difficult to deal with once you have the immediate loss. So we do need to understand that a person goes through a period of bereavement. That means that we have to allow the person to grieve for some amount of time. A good enough period, what we normally say, is between 3 months to 6 months. So if you feel your grief is becoming overwhelming even after 6 months, you certainly need to get some help. Go to a mental health professional to get some help. The other way is how you could help yourself in these difficult times, especially the first 3 to 6 months, which is very, very difficult, because you get into the space of a deep loss, which is also a lot of deep grieving. So a lot of people end up weeping incessantly, crying a lot. It becomes very difficult for them to deal with it. I would suggest, please approach some people in your support structure. Identify 3 or 4 people that every time you feel low, give them a phone call, go across, start indulging in some physical exercise. That helps tremendously to get rid of feelings of loneliness or feelings of low feelings, sadness, depression. So exercising every day, it's not like you exercise on one particular day and the hormones start getting released. It's not like that. You need to exercise consistently. Some amount of meditation and relaxation techniques can help tremendously tone up your nervous system and start helping you fight this grief. Also identifying a hobby. Maybe joining a group class together. Maybe if you like a religious class, or you like a Vedanta study class, or if you like to go to something which is to a club to start playing something. It could be any of those things. So take up a hobby like golf, maybe something you've never done in your life before. The whole thing is to explore something about yourself, When we are in a relationship, we are always caught in that zone. Once you're out of that comfort zone, explore it. Explore yourself. You'll be a new human being altogether. Look at it from the positive side. Also create a better support structure with your children, with your friends around. Try approaching them. Try speaking to them every day so that you don't get these feelings of loneliness often. Indulge in something like whatever you like. Maybe it could be cooking, gardening. It could be also reading a book, listening to music. Make sure you include all these things in your daily schedule. That will become extremely helpful for you to combat anything. And lastly, what I would like to say is some amount of, when you have been through a circumstance which has hurt you a lot, some amount of compassion to your fellow beings will also help you fill that empty cup. When you connect with people, you connect with them. When somebody else is also having that grief, you connect with them. That will help you somewhere understand that the other person is also going through that. So you will be somewhere able to give them relief. So that's how we have a lot of people who are, for example, suffered through deep illnesses like cancer survivors. They become support for other cancer survivors because they've been through difficult situations, or somebody who's had a tough relationship with somebody, or somebody who's got a child who's got a difficult child, or a child who's dealing with an illness like autism, or there could be somebody who's had a bad divorce. So make sure you're available for your fellow people. Have some amount of compassion for people. That will always give you a huge sense of relief and a lot of satisfaction. With that, I think I'll come to the next question. क्वेश्चन पता नहीं, आपको बताना है मुझे, मुझे नहीं पता. Okay, so someone has asked a question about sleep, that I'm currently facing lack of sleep and I get tired very easily. Do I need to visit a doctor? So let me explain to you that when we talk about lack of sleep, a lot of, we all read about insomnia nowadays. So we read, the fact that we read in the media, and a lot of people feel that insomnia means that we're up the whole night or walking around the whole night. No, it's not like that. Even disturbed sleep or unrefreshed sleep, when you sleep the whole night and you wake up unrefreshed consistently, could also be a difficult sleeping pattern. And we do understand that sleep is very important. It's a restorative phenomena. So sleep is a phenomena which helps us rejuvenate, which helps us come to a place where we understand where we are going to rejuvenate ourselves for, sorry, one moment. Sleep is something where we need to look into, tackle. If you're having difficult sleep, please identify the pattern. Go to a doctor. One of the good ways to get a better sleeping pattern is, one is make sure that you are not, you follow something called a simple sleep hygiene, where right before sleeping, at least 2 to 3 hours prior, don't have too much caffeine. In any case, don't have too much caffeine during the day for people who are having difficulty in sleeping. It's a nice idea to have a warm water shower, or if you can't have a warm water shower before going off to bed, just dip your feet in warm water for about 10 minutes and have a relaxed environment. You could have some soothing music play. You could also have some amount of, a mild, nice herbal tea while going off to sleep. It's also not advisable to watch some exciting programs or read fiction books, because that will create a lot of fervor in your mind and you will not be able to calm yourself down. So sleep is a pattern which is a natural pattern where you should, it's a phenomena where you should actually fall back into sleep after a working day in a normal zone. But if you're having difficulty, try these simple things. And exercise is very, very important. So if you exercise every day, you'll be able to burn yourself out, physically tire yourself out and sleep well. But if you yet have difficulty, do approach somebody to give you some help. And I think with this, we're going to wrap up the session for today. Thank you all for giving me such a patient hearing, and I hope I was able to answer all your queries up to the mark and as you felt you wanted them to be answered. Thank you.